Products marketed around alternative or unconventional energy concepts typically emerge in a crowded space defined by frustration with existing systems. Conventional household energy solutions often involve high upfront investment, technical installation, regulatory oversight, and long-term maintenance. Solar arrays, wind systems, backup generators, and grid-tied solutions require professional assessment, permitting, ongoing monitoring, and dependence on external infrastructure. Alongside these established approaches exists a secondary category of informational products. These focus not on delivering energy directly, but on presenting ideas, theories, or construction concepts that are positioned as simpler, lower cost, or outside mainstream energy engineering. These products usually take the form of guides, manuals, or blueprints, rather than finished devices. The friction in this space often lies in evaluation rather than execution. Many options demand significant time to verify feasibility, interpret instructions, source materials, and reconcile claims with physical constraints or local regulations. As a result, effort is frequently front-loaded into interpretation and decision-making rather than implementation. It is within this informational and exploratory category that the Orgone Motor is positioned. The Orgone Motor is presented as a digital instructional product, not a manufactured device. Its core deliverable is a set of blueprints and explanatory materials distributed electronically. There is no physical component shipped to the user. The conceptual framing of the product draws from historical references to mid-20th century research attributed to Wilhelm Reich and his work on what he termed orgone energy. The product narrative positions itself as a reconstruction or reinterpretation of ideas associated with that period, framed as having been suppressed or discontinued. From a format perspective, the Orgone Motor functions as a how-to document. It outlines materials, assembly steps, and theoretical background as described by the author. The scope is limited to explanation and instruction, rather than certification, testing, or third-party validation. No tools, hardware, or components are included. The product exists entirely as information. Use of the Orgone Motor begins with reading or reviewing the provided materials. Time commitment at this stage depends on how closely the user examines the historical context, diagrams, and assembly descriptions. Interaction is manual and self-directed. There is no software interface, automation, or guided platform. Any construction activity described requires sourcing materials independently and interpreting the instructions without real-time feedback. The product assumes a willingness to engage in hands-on experimentation. Environmental requirements are minimal in the sense that no specialized facility is referenced, though practical execution would depend on available workspace and tools. Repeatability is informational rather than operational. The materials can be revisited multiple times, but the experience does not change over time. There are no updates, adaptive systems, or progression layers. The Orgone Motor aligns most closely with individuals who are tolerant of ambiguity and comfortable working from written instructions without external verification. It suits those who approach such material as exploratory or experimental rather than outcome-driven. It may appeal to people who prefer conceptual simplicity over technical depth and who are willing to trade formal validation for ease of access and low informational barriers. Conversely, individuals seeking measurable performance data, regulatory compliance, peer-reviewed research, or turnkey solutions would likely find this format insufficient. Those expecting structured support, diagnostics, or integration with existing systems would encounter limitations. The product does not reduce complexity through automation or expert intervention. Instead, it shifts responsibility for interpretation and implementation entirely to the user. Compared to conventional energy solutions, the Orgone Motor removes nearly all infrastructural complexity. There are no installations, contracts, inspections, or ongoing service relationships described. In that sense, it represents a minimal commitment entry point. That simplicity comes at the cost of depth and customization. Unlike engineered systems that adapt to load requirements, environmental conditions, or usage patterns, this product remains static. It does not scale through software, hardware expansion, or modular upgrades. relative to other informational guides in alternative energy spaces. It positions itself as more narrative-driven and historically framed, with less emphasis on technical modeling or formal testing. The trade-off presented is clear: ease of access and low structural demand in exchange for limited verification, limited adaptability, and a reliance on individual interpretation. The product exists as a self-contained explanation rather than a system, leaving its evaluation dependent on how one weighs effort, simplicity, and uncertainty.